the poem if you scan the little QR code on your program. There's also another QR code there to donate if you would like to do that as well. And the Renegade would like to acknowledge that we are invited and uninvited guests in the traditional lands of the Multnomah, Wasco, Prattlemet, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Band of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other indigenous peoples. We offer our respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging, who have stewarded and continue to steward this land for generations. We encourage those of you who are also settlers and guests to join us in learning about, honoring, and directing resources to the indigenous peoples whose land you are on today and every day. Thank you so much for being here. After this, there will be a talk back, so please stay for that and enjoy the show of The Raven by Jesse Preis. Recordings are very important for composers, so if you have to leave, please do so as quietly as you can.
Open here, I flung the shutter when
which I think is something very special. So we can have great insight on the characters, and of course, great insight on the music and the story from our wonderful composer, Joseph Preis. So I'll just start off with a couple questions, and then I'll open it up to the audience. So save your questions for a moment. But first, Jesse, congratulations. I'm in my overture.
She's the narrator now.
I'm the narrator. So can you start us off with how did you come to the decision to make an opera or a piece of music theater out of this poem in particular?
I feel like that's a long answer, but I have wanted to write an opera for a while, and I was like, I mean, this was my first one. I was like, what am I going to set? I don't feel like I'm a very good librettist myself, so I wanted something existing, something that was in the public domain. But Edgar Allan Poe is a poet that has like really been like, I remember doing in high school, I did a performance of Telltale Heart for my speech and debate. Dramatic reading, like, and I just, ever since, I've been really like enthralled by Edgar Allan Poe, and I love The Raven. I remember watching, this is kind of silly, but I remember watching, as a kid, watching The Simpsons, and seeing the Homer Simpson, The Raven, with Bart as the Raven, and yeah, I loved that, and so, over the last, like, I think my first sketch for this opera was like the ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And I had that like 12 years ago, and I had it in a notebook somewhere, and a couple other little things. And then I, during the pandemic, wanted to start officially writing an opera, and I thought I should go with this. So I started putting things together and finding out what worked and what didn't. And yeah, it took me a couple years, but here we are. So I just finished it a couple months ago, so yeah, it's really recent.
Well, you seem to be very happy with your performance. I
Yes.
can see the like energy coming off that.
So happy with
That's amazing. So I know if there's a favorite part in the, do you have a favorite part in the opera, or is that like asking your kids, what's your favorite child? Like is it not that easy?
It's really hard to decide that, but I think the ending probably is my favorite. It was the last thing I wrote. I spent so long deciding how I was going to end it. I had written most of the opera, and then I sat for several months. Like, I had written the ending, and then I was like, that's not going to work. I don't want that, so I got rid of it. And I really didn't know how to end it, and then finally, this kind of appeared. I wrote it really quickly, and I was like, this is it. This is how I want to end it.
About the like chorus part, the three-part
Yeah, the
thing.
three-part.
Yeah, that was like, oh my god, I love that. Pulls on my heartstrings like every time. We should just have, I wish I could be like, do it again, but I won't be able to.
All right, ready to go.
That's amazing. And then, so for the performers, the originators of these roles, can you, maybe one of you can tell me what it's like to premiere a role? Like how, if that's something you've done before, if it's a special experience, like what's it like? Does anybody want to speak to that?
I find it really, really special to be working with a composer who is actually like actively writing while we're singing, and figuring it out together is really, really wonderful. In opera, we so often are performing dead composers' works, right? People who are no longer with us, and so you can't ask Beethoven what he would like here. You can't ask, Clara Schumann what she was intending. So it's just really special to be able to offer ideas and to have, and Jess was so open in rehearsal. We found some new ideas together, and we three of us had ideas. And what do you think? And Jess would be like, yes, or like, let me think about that.
Or no.
Yeah, so I think that's just a really special process as a singer, to feel that freedom, right? You're not sort of stuck in this strict box of like, I don't know, composers that you can't talk to anymore.
Well, I'll share that, like, once we got into the rehearsal space, it was a lot more fun. But learning new music from a MIDI file, so when a composer writes something, then they put it in software and it's just a MIDI file, which is like, like that's what the voices sound, and the piano sounds like, so it's hard to understand where the music is. And so when you're learning it, I was finding it very daunting, and I was actually feeling nervous about it. And then once I heard it with people and with a piano, and could talk through it, and could hear their voices with my voice, then it was like the fun, exciting part that Maddie just said. But I will say, sometimes for me anyway, the preparation was like, I don't know how this works yet, until I got there. So that's one thing about a premiere, is that you don't have a recording other than the beep bop boops that you practice with. So
Did you, can I ask, like, when you did get in the room, did you find that there was like a certain sense of freedom that is different? Yes or no, like a certain sense of freedom that's different from learning established music, established repertoire?
yes. I think that's why the anxiety lessened, was I had freedom. I could ask just, can we slow down here a little bit? Or I just did it and it was really natural, and so that's what it did. Or, you know, I didn't quite understand the harmony or rhythm of a certain part until I sang it with Claire or whatever, like that kind of thing too. Just, once you're with the other people, it helps to feel it.
I would third that same thing. Something else that's really cool about this project is that Jess has sort of made the score open, which means there's lots of different options, which is unusual. Lots of opera music is written for one type of voice or one thought. And this was really cool because not only are you working with a living composer who knows our three voices, but we were working with a living composer who was working to make different options so that any person who feels drawn to the current narrator who's remembering this experience, the narrator who's living the experience, or the raven, anyone can theoretically sing one of the roles. So that was really fun to be part of that generative process.
And I must say that the performers helped me a lot when it came to deciding options, because like throughout the score I'll have, if your voice is really low, you can sing these notes, or if your voice is high, you can sing these notes, you know? And I felt like the performers helped me in determining what would work and what wouldn't, so that was really cool. So they didn't just originate roles, but they originated like how those parts would look, so that helped a lot. So thank you to all of you. Yeah, it was.
So what is it like being, so you're a pianist, a singer, and so is Emily, the wonderful Emily Way, is also a pianist and singer. So what is it like working pianist to pianist and singer to singer? You know, you guys like have very similar like artistic skills and backgrounds and stuff. So was there like a special vibe that was going on with that, or can you just like, maybe speak a little bit about what it's like to play your friends' music?
Well, honestly, this is the first time that I have gotten the opportunity to play new music. I've sung new music before, but yeah, I mean, it felt very special to me, and I felt so honored to be bringing it to life and to be trusted with it. Yeah, it felt really cool, and I think also because Jess has given me suggestions for music to play before, and it was really fun to know the musical taste and then see it kind of reflected in the music.
Wow. So you kind of like get an even like deeper view of your friend in a way. You're like, oh, okay, I kind of see what's happening. Okay, cool. So anything else? Does anybody have anything else to say to that before I open it up to a couple questions?
I think it would be good for Jess to talk about, to elaborate on what Claire was talking about.
Oh yes, that's great.
Accessible and the sort of.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just to like prompt with this, so generally in Western classical music, when you write music, it's written like in a line, right? You have the dot, dot, dots, and those are the notes that you sing, and it's written for a very specific person, very specific voice, and often in opera, we all know the word typecasting from like film and everything like that. That's like extreme in opera, which is like a thing, such as
So speaking about that typecasting, like when you audition for a role, oftentimes when you audition for a role, you end up becoming the same role over and over and over again because people see you a certain way, they hear you a certain way, all these kind of things, and that has to do a lot with just your physical appearance and how you're built and how you sound and all that kind of stuff. And so it has nothing to do with what you identify with, what you appreciate about music, what you appreciate about roles. When you're a kid and you watch movies or you watch shows like television shows or Broadway musicals or stage shows or anything like that, you know, you find a lot of characters that you identify with and you're like, I would love to be that person, or I would love to play that person on stage. And I felt like when I was writing this, as a non-binary person, I wanted to embody that and give people an option. Be like, you know, it doesn't have to be about typecasting. It doesn't have to be about what the director sees. It can be about what you want as a performer. And so as long as you can sing the role or the options, or, you know, that I was trying to give as many options as I could so that people could, anybody of any FOC. So a FOC is like, you have like, leggero tenors or sopranos who have a really light voice, or you have a dramatic tenor or baritone or soprano who has a very heavy voice, or you have mezzos. You know, there's just so many different types of voices. And it gets so complicated at times. But yeah, I wanted to give enough options that people could see a part and they could be like, okay, I can't sing that, but I can sing this, and I can still play the part. So that's how I approach this. And I think that down the road, those options might change. I might add to those, I might take away from those, but just like, well, not take away, but modify, you know? And so I think that's kind of the future. Yeah, sorry.
Take away.
Yeah, take away is not the right word. No. But that's my vision for this piece, is that it should be for everybody. So yeah, that's kind of my thought.
So beautiful. I love it. I love how it's by creating, like, it's almost like by having more specificity. So like the work that you put in to put those different options for notes and those different options for lines that go up, lines that go down, that it's like the confines, or what am I trying to say? Like the details that became so specific allow the performer to be more in control and to really choose their way. And so it's like, I love that, because I think like there's such a tradition in Western music of the composer being like the all-knowing God, and you must do everything the composer says, and blah, blah, blah. Like we literally have these like deity figures, right? That's why we know the names Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, but it almost like diminishes the people that are the ones that originated the rules, or that are doing the rules now. And so your specificity and like with those options has like really opened a world of creativity and ownership for the characters. And I think that's the thing.
I hope so. It's the intent, at least.
So does anybody have any questions about anything at all? Yes?
About that last point, Jesse, do you have like a master score with these different options in it, or how does that work physically?
Yeah, so it depends on what, so the parts in general I tried to put them in a more central area where people could sing, like most voices feel comfortable in this area, but if there are places where I like reach a little too high or low, or there's like whole lines where it's just written higher, I'll have like, there's something called an ossia in music where you have like just a short little stanza above. It's like, this is optional, so it has extra, like you can sing this instead. Or if the rhythm's really challenging, like I've simplified the rhythm here. Or if it's just one note is too low or one note is too high, I have an extra, like a little parenthesis around the other note. So, and sometimes it'll have like what looks like a whole chord, but it's like you can choose any notes in those, you know, and it should still work. It should still be, and of course my original intent is the one that doesn't have the parenthesis around it, but anybody can choose any of those options depending on the system. So that was my intent in writing it. So, yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, cool. Good.
I think I saw another hand up before. Is there another question? Oh, okay, thanks, Misha. Well, I have another question. So, oh, was there? Sorry. Yes, please. No, please jump.
I was just curious, why opera? Like this could also be something someone chose to say as a choral piece or as a concert piece. So, like for you, why opera for this or this text?
I think the reason that well, because I really did want to write an opera. I mean, my master's degree is in opera performance, and I just really wanted to write an opera, and I love this poem, and I thought, you know, this is something I can make. And opera is something that I feel like can be so alienating at times. You know, it's like it's so long or it's so boring or whatever. You know, it's like, what if I wrote something short that, you know, people, yeah, that is in English, that's new, that has music that's catchy, that people will remember, those kind of things. So that's kind of like how I approached it. It's like, I want to write an opera, but it doesn't have to be this grand thing. I hope to down the road. I mean, I've already started orchestrating it. I hope to have it in other forms, but I don't think it will be much longer than it already is. Yeah. Very, very minimal, because I want the performers again to have ownership over, and we didn't have a stage director for this. Is another thing. We all talked about it. It's like, what can we do here? What can we do here? And of course, it's a first reading, so a lot of it was just standing still. But you know, there was a lot of there was still yeah, that is creepy, right? There was still a lot of like decisions on the performance parts of, you know, how to react, how to move in certain ways, different things like that. Yeah, and you know, I think that's a really fun process to be able to put it in front of the performer and just ask, what do you think about this part? What do you think they would feel at this moment? So, yeah.
I love that you're, like, to me as a fellow composer, it's like, I find that, like, everything you're saying, it's like, there's so much care and, like, intention on building structure. It's less about, like, of course there's, like, your art in it, but, like, you had, like, such a clear vision of, like, your art and also, like, intent behind the art that, like, most of the time has been spent building structure. Like, okay, so, like, how can I take this point, or this point of the music and bring the freedom to the performer, or bring the freedom to the movement, bring the freedom to the space. Like, and I just, as a structural person, like, as well, I think that's so beautiful, because sometimes I feel like as creators, we get so stuck in little details that then, like, singers or like, you try to explain it to them and they're like, okay, which is like freaking valid. Like, sometimes we're like so in our head and like, and sometimes, you know, I'm not the next person that like might get what you're talking about there, but like having those options allows like you as a composer to also have the benefit of connecting with so many more performers that like connect with different like options and structures that you build for them. It's just so cool. This is the second time I've seen it, and that's just becoming more and more clear of like, wow, this is like really like a collectively created just reading. I can't wait to see it in the full production. So I think we have time for one more question.
About your comments all these about being ability to compose. And what it popped into my head is it all just your opinion, I realize, but do you think it gives you some insight what it may have been like if you were a singer? For Mozart, do you think their music was always that rich? Or do you think there was a time when what you're experiencing today was what people in the audience experienced? Because there was a first time for everyone in this experience.
I can speak to that, at least about Mozart. The thing I think about Mozart is, you know how he wrote Fiordaligi's aria with he wrote it with the intention that the soprano would bob her head when he sang it, and when she sang it, and look like a chicken on stage. So no, I don't necessarily think that. I think we've come a long way. I think if you were a soprano in the 1700s or the 1800s, you wouldn't have had a male composer who would have looked at you and respected you and respected your insight into your voice or your work.
You were an instrument. Like things were, you know, Jesse said that they had our voices in mind when they were writing it, which is valid, and so did Mozart, as you were just describing. But the difference is that when we came in with our ideas and with our flourishes or with our wrong notes, they were like, that's a good idea, that's not a bad option, or like, let's try that again. You know, I do agree. I think it's just where we've come from, how we respect specifically the female voices. I don't know if it was a different experience back then, but I think in some ways, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would add is that the hope as a performer is done, tried and true, and there's a way that you always do it, it's kind of fun to be like, but what if I did it a different way, right? And that's a lot of what Renegade does, right? We do a lot of breathing new life into old works. So this is just sort of the other side of the coin.
But at the same time, breathing life into old works, like we could find a lot of people that would be like, why would you do that? You know, like there's like a tradition behind, well, honestly, like the white supremacy and patriarchy of Western classical music, and so it's yeah, but definitely. So it's two sides of the same coin. Like imagining the old and like very investing in the new. I think that people think about contemporary music and contemporary opera in particular, and they're like, oh, well, that's never going to make money. Like that's like it's going to be such a loss. It's going to be such a loss, and it is not a loss. It's a cost. Things cost money to invest. Like you have to invest if you want something to grow and to flourish. And I think this is like a perfect example. Like if you like, well, we're doing really well financially, but not good enough. So please donate. Let's do it. But anyways, I think that like people are like, oh well, you have to run on donations to do contemporary work. And I'm like, no, people are investing their money in what they want to see. They want to see this music change. They want to be welcomed into the characters that are created. And the only way for that to get better and better and reach more and more people is for us to pay that cost and to like continue investing. So basically, thank you for allowing us to invest in your beautiful work. And
Thanks for performing it, everyone.